Welcome back to Stoic Reflections. When discussing relationships with women, there are specific actions you should take and others you should avoid. Since we started this series, I've shared what you should do, but even if you're as charming as Brad Pitt, making the mistakes I'm about to outline in this video could cost you the chance to see that girl again. Let me illustrate with a story. A young man was sitting in a park when he noticed a very attractive woman reading a book on a nearby bench. The moment he spotted her, he thought, "I should go over and talk to her." However, as he contemplated approaching her, negative thoughts flooded his mind, causing him to hesitate. He froze, and before he could act, the young woman closed her book and walked away. Frustrated and angry at himself for missing the opportunity, he refused to give up. After some reflection, he realized she seemed to visit the park regularly. Determined to speak with her, he resolved to return the next day. As expected, he saw her again in the same spot. But just like before, when the moment came to make a move, he found himself paralyzed by fear. He stood there, staring at her from a distance, unable to take a step forward. This pattern continued for several days. Each time he told himself today would be the day, but he ended up frozen in place as she left. Finally, after about a week, he managed to push himself to walk up to her. Nervously, he approached the bench where she was sitting, pretending to be interested in her book. He fumbled for words and awkwardly asked, "Is that book any good?" The young woman looked up, smiled politely, and replied, "Yes, it's one of my favorites." Encouraged by her response, he tried to keep the conversation going, but his nervousness made it challenging. He could barely string together a coherent sentence, and after a few uncomfortable minutes, she politely excused herself and left. Despite the awkwardness, he was encouraged that she hadn't immediately dismissed him. He returned to the park the next day, hoping to build on their previous conversation, but each time he tried to engage her, his anxiety overwhelmed him. Their conversations remained short and stilted, with him struggling to maintain her interest. Nevertheless, he kept coming back to the park, desperate for another chance to impress her. After many days of effort, he finally persuaded the young woman to go out on a date with him. However, what followed was a complete disaster. They went out a couple of times, but by this point the young man had grown increasingly attached to her. His feelings deepened, along with his insecurity. Instead of visiting the park once, he found himself going several times a day, hoping to see her. His thoughts became consumed with whether she liked him, and his emotions swung wildly depending on how much attention she paid him that day. Feeling overwhelmed by his confusion, he decided that the only way to resolve his feelings was to confess them. One afternoon, after another brief and awkward conversation, he blurted out, "I really like you, and I'd love to take you out sometime." The young woman seemed surprised, but after a moment she replied, "I'm flattered, but I really just see you as a friend. I don't want to ruin that." Her response left him feeling even more confused and disheartened. He thought maybe he hadn't tried hard enough, so he continued to pursue her. But each time he suggested going out, she gently but firmly declined, insisting that she valued their friendship. As the days passed, she began to distance herself. She spent less time in the park, and when she did come, she seemed preoccupied, no longer engaging in their brief conversations. One day, he decided to call her to ask why they weren't talking as much. When he brought it up, she said she had been busy with a lot going on, but that they could catch up another time. However, that time never seemed to arrive. So, where did this young man go wrong? Analyzing the situation closely, you'll see he displayed several traits of a low-value male that ultimately sabotaged his chances with the young woman. Here are some of the mistakes he made. But before we continue, let's aim to get this video to 3,000 likes. Number 1. He put the young woman on a pedestal solely because of her looks. High-value men never give a girl too much importance just for being attractive. This is the most crucial attitude you must cultivate in your personality at all costs. Never show a woman that you think she's too good-looking. Let her know that you prioritize personality over looks, because good looks are easy to find, but a genuine personality is rare. When you act this way, you instantly earn the label of that special different guy, which is what most women look for in a potential mate. Number 2, he agreed with her too much to keep her comfortable. This is another terrible idea ingrained in the male psyche by society. Kissing up to a woman won't make her like you. By agreeing with her on everything, you give off a weak vibe, signaling that you're seeking her approval or permission. If you always play by her rules, you indirectly communicate that you don't know how to earn recognition from her, suggesting you don't consider yourself good enough. This behavior often leads to men asking boring questions like, "What do you do for a living?" in a desperate attempt to keep her engaged. After a few minutes, she might think, "This is so boring. How do I get out of this?" and make an excuse to leave, never to return. The fear of uncertainty makes many men believe that women hate men who disagree with them. In reality, women want a challenge, and you'll never be one if you agree with everything they say. 3. He desperately sought the young lady's approval and acceptance. This mindset only fueled his insecurity and pushed her away. A high-value man never seeks a girl's approval or acceptance. The moment a girl realizes you're seeking her approval, she'll be turned off. Always remember that attraction isn't something she has control over. Seeking approval is a strong attraction killer. To avoid this issue, don't talk too much. My experience has shown that when someone talks too much to a girl, they end up focusing on themselves, trying to convince her that they're the best option. This happens unconsciously. Instead, let her do most of the talking and make the conversation about her. Make her the center of discussion and remove yourself from the equation. This way, you can avoid seeking her approval. Number 4, he made it clear he wanted her from the beginning. This is a significant mistake. You must ensure you don't express your feelings too early in the relationship and should never be the first to say, "I love you." Sharing your true feelings too early leads to a strange process where she feels she has conquered you, thinking, "Okay, I have him now. What's next?" The tension and attraction you built by demonstrating high-value traits dissipate. You become too easy to obtain, and since we've already discussed that women can't control their attraction, they won't feel drawn to you once they know you're interested. The key is to keep her guessing and confused about your feelings, maintaining that element of attraction. Number 5. Another mistake guys make is trying to solve the girl's problems. This is the quickest route to the friend zone and one of the biggest mistakes men make with women. Women don't want you to solve their problems. The moment you do, you get placed into the provider zone, resembling a big brother trying to care for her. Listening to her problems is one thing, but solving them is another. By solving her issues, you're doing the work for her, which again signals low value. Eventually, she will see you as someone to turn to when she's in trouble, but never as a potential lover. Men often feel heroic when they come to the rescue, but in her world you become just another nice guy trying to help. Women don't discuss their issues seeking solutions. They just want you to listen. Trust me, women have their own ways of dealing with problems, so don't try to fix them for her. Number 6. Don't act too disinterested. If you've been following this series, you might be doing what many guys do, acting disinterested in women. Some don't understand the difference between being disinterested and being rude. The goal is to show some interest, then a hint of disinterest, but never complete disinterest. Many guys act so disinterested, it's as if they're telling the girl to go away. A girl won't stay around if you keep showing disinterest. Instead, you should demonstrate that you're interested but won't chase her for attention. For instance, you could say, "You look cute in that dress, but I think pink would have been better." This statement conveys interest while also introducing a hint of disinterest. However, be cautious saying, "That dress doesn't look good on you. You should have tried pink," expresses disinterest twice and comes off as rude since it insults her. Number 7. Never discuss your problems with women. Discussing your issues with women is a sure way to kill all attraction. You need to be strong enough to handle your problems yourself. Women want to see you overcome challenges rather than just talk about them. Sharing your problems indirectly tells her you're not strong enough to deal with your own issues. implying you need her help or sympathy to feel better. Also, never share your insecurities. Don't reveal what you're bad at, how many failures you faced, or how you still struggle with many aspects of life. This creates a dull impression and is a direct attraction killer. Sharing weaknesses isn't always an attraction killer, but it can be if you don't do it humorously. If you mention weaknesses, do so with a positive spin. I'm trying to get better at public speaking. I'm still not great, but I can give it a shot. This demonstrates a growth mindset and shows you're self-aware. By avoiding these mistakes, you can increase your chances of success in your interactions with women. Remember, maintaining high-value traits and keeping a confident attitude will help you stand out and create a deeper connection. Thanks for watching Stoic Reflections. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more insights on improving your relationship skills. See you in the next video.